Dear Chosen One, there was a time when someone looked at your light and thought, I want this for myself. But it wasn't love. It wasn't admiration. It was greed disguised as connection. And behind the smile, there was calculation. This person didn't just want to push you away, they wanted to replace you. They stole your words, your way, your energy. They tried to project onto you what existed in them. And while you bled in silence, they danced with your crown. But the universe saw. And now, the game has changed. They lost everything trying to prove that you were nothing. But you were not nothing. You were the hidden center that sustained all that theater. You were the spirit that fueled the environment, even when treated as invisible. When you stepped away, everything collapsed. The imposter who tried to take your place was expelled, abandoned, exiled from the very throne they had stolen. They were left with the mud, with the remnants, with the guilt. And while they fall, you rise. Because the truth always returns to its origin. And your spiritual identity, Chosen One, was never really at risk. It was only being tested. Before continuing, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notifications. Write in the comments the number 777 to declare to the universe that you are reclaiming your identity and freeing yourself from the false narratives that tried to mold you. And now, answer me honestly. Have you ever felt that someone tried to erase your existence and yet imitated every part of you? Well, the time for revelation has come. The story they were trying to hide is about to emerge, and you will understand why your silence is worth more than any revenge. You were not dealing with just one person, but with a hidden architecture operating behind the scenes of your reality. They created a false version of you, shaped by others' desires, as if they could capture your essence and mold it into a fabricated form of ego and emotional sorcery. This spiritual replica was placed before the eyes of the world to divert attention from the true Chosen One, the original, the one who carries the authentic flame. They stole your voice, distorted your image, mocked your silence, yet they couldn't erase the vibration that emanates from your spirit. Because there's a divine signature in you that cannot be manipulated. This attempt at replacement was not just personal. It was a war against your presence on the earthly plane, and the victory lies in your survival. For a long time, the world seemed to treat you as a shadow, present, but never recognized. You were the foundation holding entire emotional environments, but they called you exaggerated, strange, or unstable. This was no accident. It was energetic manipulation. They inverted your reflection, distorting your image in the eyes of others, as if you were the dissonance in a system that only worked when you were submissive. But now, the programming has collapsed. The spell has turned to dust. People are starting to see who you really are, and this is causing mass internal confusion. The one who tried to take your place no longer knows where to run, for everything they arrogantly touched now turns against them with violence. And your absence has become the strongest signal of your importance. You were treated like a spiritual puppet, an energetic object that served as a channel for others' desires and projections. For years, your humanity was denied so they could use your energy without guilt. They dehumanized your soul to justify the theft. But now, something has changed. The fog has lifted. The presence that was once ignored now pulses like an undeniable magnetic force. And those who saw you as a stained mirror are being forced to face the true reflection. You were never weak, exaggerated, or crazy. You were simply silenced by those who weren't ready to listen to you. Today, every gesture you make carries a weight that disturbs. Your authenticity has become a threat, and this is a sign that time has turned in your favor. And the most intriguing thing is watching how the behavior of the people around you oscillates like a lamp about to burst. At times warm, at others cold, at times desiring your presence, at others trying to escape it as if facing silent judgment. This movement isn't about you being unstable. It's about the instability that your light reveals in others' souls. The collapse of the old magic that kept them anesthetized is forcing them to feel. And feeling you, chosen one, is an experience too intense for those who have spent their lives protecting themselves from the truth. Some try to reconnect, but hesitate, feeling unworthy, insecure, disoriented. Others simply disappear, for they can no longer bear being near something they cannot control. And all this, without you needing to say a single word. The silence of the chosen one now has more impact than 1,000 defense speeches. Your mere presence in a room alters the spiritual dynamics of that place. Those who once mocked your pain now feel discomfort when they hear your name. Because something within them knows, you were wronged, yes, but you were also protected. What seemed like abandonment was, in fact, strategic isolation. And those who tried to bring you down now watch their own fall. With no ground beneath them, no applause, no spiritual support. The false substitute was rejected by those who had placed it on the altar. Because your light cannot be falsified, and everything they tried to build based on your essence now crumbles, making it clear who the bearer of truth was. This impostor, this spiritual shadow, thought they could bear the weight of your mission. But they didn't understand that this mission was not just a gift. It was a sacred burden. By trying to usurp your role, they exposed themselves to the spiritual load that you have carried with honor for lifetimes. And now they feel in their bones what you endured in silence. The difference is that you were trained for this. They were not. The universe does not allow the divine paths to be tampered with without consequences. And those who try to manipulate the scale of destiny end up being crushed by it. The chaos that surrounds them now is just the echo of their arrogance. The despair that consumes them is the fruit of what they tried to sow in you. And all they have today is the living proof that their attempt failed. Meanwhile, you flourish against what they expected. While their eyes turned to the impostor, you were silently sculpted by the universe itself. Every tear that fell was transformed into discernment. Every betrayal you endured without retaliating was transmuted into invisible strength. Now, your spiritual gifts are amplified, your sensitivity expands, and your intuition guides you with pinpoint precision. What they wanted to destroy has been reborn even purer. Because the truth does not die, it only changes form until the world is ready to recognize it. And you, chosen one, are the living proof that no attempt at replacement can succeed when the origin is divine. Your mission was sealed, and no one has the power to usurp what was born with your spiritual name engraved upon it. Those who once mocked you now find themselves confused by your presence, as if something is stopping them from continuing to repeat the old script they had learned. They feel that the plot has changed, but they don't know how to act in this new reality where you are no longer submissive, silent, or invisible. You started to discomfort them not because you became aggressive, but because you remained intact. Your silent firmness, your spiritual integrity, your pure magnetism. All of this forces them to confront their own hypocrisy. Some try to salvage lost connections, but not out of repentance, but out of fear. Fear that they bet on the wrong side. Fear of losing access to the energy they once drained without asking. And now they feel they are facing a portal they can no longer cross. There are also those who still try to manipulate, test your limits, repeat old dynamics, hoping that you will return to being the one who swallowed the pain just to keep the peace. But they don't know that this version of you is dead. What was once weakness has turned into discernment. What was once fear has turned into spiritual protection. You no longer need to explain yourself, bow, or justify yourself to be accepted. Your value is no longer conditioned by external recognition. And the more you distance yourself from false validations, the more untouchable you become. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. And that's what bothers them the most. The fact that you no longer need them, while they now need your light to continue guiding themselves in the chaos they helped create. The old timeline where you were devalued, where you had to fight to prove your worth, is crumbling before everyone's eyes. And many who once mocked you now desperately try to pull you back into that scenario, because it is there that they still have control. But that cycle is over. You no longer belong to the frequency of emotional scarcity, veiled abuse, or humiliation, disguised as honest opinion. Your soul has broken free from these chains, and now every attempt to diminish you turns into a public revelation of the shadow of those trying. They expose themselves trying to attack you. They denounce themselves trying to overshadow you, because what was once invisible is now glaring. And those who have eyes to see have already noticed where the truth lies. That's why, even in silence, you are remembered. Even from afar, you discomfort them. And even without defending yourself, your mere existence makes everything that was said against you lose its power. Time has begun to do the work of spiritual justice, and the one who tried to take your place is now drowning in the consequences of the choices they made. They were exalted for a time, but on rotten foundations. They received support, but out of self-interest. And now, all the pacts they made have turned against them, because the universe allows evil to organize for a time, only for its own structure to implode when the truth matures. And what has matured in you, chosen one, is the awareness of your worth, the revelation that you no longer need to prove anything. And do not think this process was painless. No, you felt everything. You felt the abandonment, the mockery, the injustice, the feeling of being forgotten even by God. But still, something within you didn't allow you to surrender. Your soul knew that something greater was happening behind appearances. And this silent, almost invisible faith sustained you in the darkest days. It was this faith that protected you when everything around you seemed to collapse. And today, you begin to see the fruits of this resistance, not in the form of vengeance, but of clarity. You begin to understand why you needed to be separated, why you needed to walk alone, why you needed to be tested. Because what will come after this requires a soul that knows exactly who it is. The imposter who tried to take your spiritual place couldn't withstand the pressure you endured every day. They thought they would carry only the applause, the access, the favors. But they forgot the pain, the weight, the spiritual responsibility that comes with a soul marked by purpose. They wanted your shine, but refused your cross. And now, drowned in their own pride, they try to gather the shards of a castle built from lies. Meanwhile, you're not rebuilding a throne. You're rebuilding yourself. And that's what makes Your return so powerful because you're not returning to be accepted. You're returning to occupy the space that has always been yours. And there's no illusion that can prevent this. Not sorcery, not collective manipulation, not envy disguised as indifference. There's a silent wisdom in you now, a consciousness that goes beyond pain and ego. You no longer seek to prove who you are. You simply are. And this authentic, pure presence, with no need for approval, is what most destabilizes others, because it exposes falsehoods with a force that no accusation can withstand. The imposter now tries to convince others that they still have value, but their words sound hollow. Their gestures seem copied. Their presence pale. Because what they tried to simulate in you only exists in you. The truth has an energetic signature, and you, chosen one, carry a frequency that cannot be imitated, only recognized by those with awakened spiritual eyes. Many still don't know how to react to your new vibration. Some feel attracted but embarrassed. Others distance themselves, not out of anger, but out of shame for having believed the lie. Your presence exposes, without needing to speak, what each one tried to hide. And that's why most prefer to stay distant, creating shallow justifications for not returning. Because returning would imply acknowledging that they were wrong about you. And few have the courage to do that. But you don't need their validation. Because now you understand. Those who distanced themselves under the influence of the lie never had the strength to walk alongside the truth. And what you carry is not ordinary. It is rare. It is sacred. It is too heavy for fragile hearts and indecisive souls. Do you see how everything has reversed? Before, you were seen as a problem. Today, you are seen as a mirror. Before, they accused you of intensity. Now, they miss the depth that only you had. The world tried to convince you that your light was uncomfortable, but in truth, it was simply untamable. And the system around you, be it social, spiritual, or emotional, didn't know how to handle that. They tried to fit your soul into molds that better suited the imposter. But what is meant to expand will never be happy in cages. And it was precisely this attempt to imprison you that triggered your ascension. Because when you were forced into exile, that's where you found the path within yourself. And there, you discovered a power that no one will ever be able to take away. And while you rebuild yourself in silence, chaos settles in the domain of those who once dictated the rules about you. The imposter can no longer maintain the theater. The masks are falling, and the applause has turned into accusations, because the spiritual system that supported them now rejects them. They were used as a puppet, and now they are discarded as such. Their former allies have turned into their judges, and this happens because the universe does not allow a kingdom to be built on the falsification of a true soul. Every wrong choice made against you now echoes back on them with double force. What seemed like apparent victory now reveals itself as a sentence. And what appeared as weakness in you was merely maturation. Time now is on your side. You feel it, don't you? Something in the air has changed. The energy around you responds differently. What once seemed like spiritual resistance has now turned into magnetism. People look at you with a mix of curiosity, admiration, and fear, and they can't explain why. But you know that it's not about appearance, words, or visible achievements. It's about presence. Your presence is now laden with truths that can no longer be denied. You are a living reminder of what many tried to erase, and even without speaking, you expose. Even without reacting, you transform. Even in silence, you reveal. Because your vibration is now too high to be ignored. And those who once minimized, you now tremble before your authenticity. There is a new level of protection around you. Something spiritual has been activated. You are no longer an easy target, but a spiritual mirror. Those who approach with impure intentions feel immediate discomfort. Those who lie in your presence are unmasked without you saying a word. The universe has sealed your identity, and now nothing and no one can profane what is sacred in you. The time of invasion is over, and you no longer need to fight to defend yourself. Your light has become your armor. Your truth has become your sword. And your soul, once wounded, now shines with a peace that no impostor will ever know. This is silent justice. The kind that doesn't shout, but changes the environment just by existing. Those who tried to manipulate. You are trapped in cycles that repeat, trying to reclaim something that was never theirs. They complain about luck, curse the universe, make excuses, but deep down, they know. They lost everything trying to prove you were nothing. Because the moment they accepted to replace you, they chose to carry a weight that doesn't belong to them. And now they feel the burden. They feel the emptiness. They feel the absence of what they shined without deserving. It's a silent, spiritual punishment. Living surrounded by echoes of something that was never truly theirs. While you, in your refined solitude, are being guided to environments where your light will be honored, not used. Where your presence will be seen as a blessing, not a threat. Some of them still watch you from afar, wishing to return, but afraid to approach. They feel shame, guilt, inferiority, and they create mental stories to justify the distance. But they don't realize that the only bridge between you and them was burned when they tried to diminish you to make themselves feel bigger. Now, all that's left are distorted memories of a connection that could have been sacred, but was profaned. You, however, hold no grudges. You simply don't return, because you understood that love without respect is just attachment, and connection without truth is just emotional dependency. You chose your light. You chose not to lose yourself to fit into small spaces. And that choice is what scares them the most. You were not created to be accessible to anyone. Your soul was sculpted for elevated realities, and that's why many can no longer keep up with you. The old cycle tried to convince you that you needed to be small to be loved. But now you see, the more you honor yourself, the more the truth separates itself from the illusion. And those who cannot bear your light disappear. Because there's no longer space for masks in the field of your presence. Those who tried to live as you live now walk as shadows of what they once were. They lost their shine, they lost clarity, they even lost their own sense of identity. They tried to be you without having been broken as you were. They tried to carry your mission without carrying your process. And the universe doesn't allow shortcuts when it comes to essence. Everything built on falsity disintegrates. You no longer need to fear anything. The war has already happened, and you won without needing to attack. Your victory wasn't declared with applause, but with inner peace. You don't seek revenge, but truth. And the truth is already taking care of reorganizing everything around you. Some will say that you've changed, but you know that you only returned to yourself. What changed was their perception, now without spiritual veils to hide the truth. They see you with naked eyes, and it scares them. They expected you to fit back into old forms, but you've grown, and there's no longer a way to fit you where you've already transcended. The imposter tries to reclaim influence, but everything slips through their fingers. Because what they built based on your essence was never theirs. The shine, the charisma, the attention, all were echoes of you. Now, without your energy to sustain the illusion, all that remains is an empty body, trying to repeat gestures that no longer have power. And this is the end of the farce. And meanwhile, you step into a new time, a time where your energy attracts what is pure, where your words heal, and your presence restores. Spiritual gifts intensify, and vision opens. You sense things before they happen. You see beyond what's said. You perceive what's hidden. Because now you walk in alliance with the heavens. And this, no one can break. You have become living proof that evil never wins in the long run. That the truth, when resisted with faith, explodes in divine glory. That the world's disregard doesn't define the value of the soul. That rejection can be the seal of a sacred mission, and that the silence of a chosen one often speaks louder than the words of an impostor. Chosen one, you are the one who survived forgetfulness, and still did not lose your tenderness. You were discredited by those who benefited from your absence. But now that you've returned, even in silence, your presence reorders the spiritual structures around you. False alliances begin to unravel. Shady pacts are exposed to the light. And everyone realizes that, even without seeking revenge, justice has arrived. Your ascension speaks louder than any attack. Some will try to approach again, pretending nothing happened, wanting to ride on your restored light. But you have learned to discern the touch of those who heal and the touch of those who extract. You do not hate, but you also do not forget. You forgive, but do not retreat. You love, but do not let yourself be used. And now, you only walk with those who also have the courage to walk in truth. Because your journey has become too sacred to harbor shallow intentions. You no longer need to be accepted to feel whole, because you've discovered that your completeness comes from above. External recognition is no longer your fuel. Solitude taught you what the crowd hid. Your value doesn't change when you are unseen. And today, you walk with the assurance of one who was shaped by abandonment. The places that once hurt now strengthen you. And those who laughed at your fall now fall silent before your constancy. The true battle was never against flesh and blood, but against forces that operated behind the scenes of the spirit. And you won without needing to counterattack, only by remaining faithful to your essence. While they accused you, you aligned with the heavens. While they ignored you, you were positioned in invisible places of authority. And now that everything has come to light, you don't need to prove anything. Reality itself shouts what your soul always knew. That's why your mere presence has become uncomfortable for those who live by appearances. You don't accuse, but your coherence denounces. You don't judge, but your integrity confronts. You don't retaliate, but your existence has become the answer. The imposter feels this and tries to resist, but no longer has the strength. What supported them has fallen, and now the world clearly sees. They were the shadow, you, the origin. They, the noise. You, the truth. Chosen one, do not retreat. The discomfort you cause is not a sign of error, but of alignment. The unease that your presence activates in others reveals exactly who is ready to walk with you and who needs to leave. Your role now is no longer to convince anyone, it is to remain. Your firmness has become healing for those with spiritual eyes and torment for those still living in illusion. Keep moving forward. The heavens have already recognized you. The chaos around you is merely the reflection of the order that has been established within you. Those who cannot bear this new reality will try to destabilize the field, create noise, question your essence. But you no longer need to prove that you deserve to be where you are. The process has spoken for you. The pain has shaped you. Rejection has sanctified you. Now, it's just about staying and allowing your very existence to continue revealing what needs to be revealed. They tried to prove you were nothing, but they only revealed how much you were everything. In trying to erase you, they ended up illuminating your name. And now, they live under the weight of their own choices, while you become what you've always been: untouchable, undeniable, incorruptible. Your truth won, your essence resisted, and your soul was restored in the right time. If this message touched you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notifications right now. Write in the comments the number 111 to declare to the universe, "I am original, and my mission is intransferable." Share this video with someone who needs to awaken. I want to deeply thank everyone who supports us through the Buy Me a Coffee link. Your support helps this message reach more lives and allows us to continuously improve the content of this channel. If you would like to become a supporter as well, our link is pinned in the first comment. And don't leave without watching the next video shown on the screen. Just click on the video and you'll receive more important revelations for your awakening. As a true chosen one of God, stay strong on your path. Thank you for staying with us until here, and may God bless you always.